I guess it's a combination of things. A lot of people know me for my biggest flip, which is
making 100 ETH in the NFT space is the equivalent of making $1 million in the real world. So in this video, I asked NFT influencers how they made their first 100 ETH. Ameer, so how did you first get into the NFT space?
Yeah, so how I got into the NFT space is a colleague that I knew of or someone who was in my workspace was talking about NFTs, and I asked him a little bit more questions on what NFTs were, and it was very interesting, and he told me a lot about it. He told me about like flash bots, how you can do like the contract minting bots, and he told me about like certain projects, and I was very interested. So I ended up entering in this space with like literally no idea what I was doing. I only knew about crypto, and I entered into the space, and then I saw some opportunities on getting into projects early and then investing into certain projects, and I was very blindsided on pretty much everything, but I just saw that there was a cool opportunity here, that there's this whole community, and that there's this big cult of people that want to get into these projects constantly. Everyone's getting into the next mint and all that, and I just kind of dipped my toes in the space, and I kind of figured out everything on my own very, very quickly, and I started adapting to the culture and started making some gains after, I got a few really good mints.
Awesome, man. Clearly you thrived at it. Like, I'm glad you joined it so we can have people like you in this space. So Gorilla, tell me, how did you get into the NFT space?
So I had my YouTube channel. I was doing tutorials, how to buy Bitcoin in Canada, stuff like that. And I knew nothing about NFTs. People started asking in the comments about NFT stuff. So I thought, hey, why not do a tutorial? In order to do that, I had to buy an NFT. And from there, I just really fell down the rabbit hole. And it's been a great journey and like 18-hour days just going in. I absolutely love the space. So one of the best moves I've ever made was making a tutorial how to buy an NFT.
Totally agree, man. I'm glad you did. Glad to have people like you in the space. So Nate, in the NFT space, right? That's called the NFT space, a world on its own. And we have the NFT space and the real world. So in the real world, everyone wants to be a millionaire, right? And the equivalent of that in the NFT space is making your first 100 ETH. If you're on ETH, on Solana, I'm not sure what that number is. So how did you make your first 100 ETH? I'd love to hear about your journey, how you got there.
Full transparency, I haven't made a 100 ETH bag because I keep pulling it out to then put it into another asset. So it's one of those things where I'm never going to flex that I have sort of $1 million in ETH, because I think that is a silly waste of sort of capital when you could actually deploy it in something that the traditional space will actually lend against and actually help you out. Because I feel like if you're younger in the space, you can think, hey, I need to be 100% NFTs. I can be 100% crypto. But if you've seen the cycles and you've seen what happens, the biggest, wealthiest people in the space, they own assets that they're able to kind of lend out and lend against. When you look at someone like Elon Musk, he uses his Tesla shares to get loans. You've got these big conglomerates that buy up land because the banks know that they hold value, which means that you've then got an asset that isn't volatile. So the long story short is I don't have that 100 ETH bag because I keep liquidating that bag to ensure that I diversify into other assets. And at this current point in time, and the fact that the market's very shaky, very rocky, I'm not too worried because I know these cycles happen. And if all crypto, all NFTs went to zero, I'm not going to be happy, but I'm not going to be sort of bankrupt because I've diversified my portfolio and what I'm actually doing.
Yeah, as I said, I love your vision about the whole space because you have a really different narrative, a really different opinion than what the whole narrative is saying. Because everyone says 100 ETH, what floor should I sweeps or whatever. You see these tweets on Twitter, right? So you have another vision where people don't really talk about much, and that is investing your ETH or your NFTs in a bit safer assets. And as you said, because most people in the space are younger people and they just want to flex their ETH bag, which sounds great. But here you are, when everything crashed, you're still good. You still have a house. But if you kept them on the other side in ETH, they like the $1 million would have became like about $500,000 now. Guys, real quick, if you're enjoying this video so far, please make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you check out the links in the descriptions for the socials of everyone I interviewed. Make sure you give them a follow and the subscribe as well. Now back to the video.
If I sold everything, I'd have somewhere around 40, but I actually have only made maybe, like I said, 17 to 20 ETH total. In terms of actually getting to 100 ETH though, I have made it technically to 100 ETH because of the products that I've started. So I have an alpha group, which made somewhere around 155, 160 ETH to date. And then we also have a team of employees, moderators, and all these kind of different types of people that run the program and run the alpha group and help me run it, that I pay every month. So they're getting paid out of that. But then the other project is NFT HUD, which is an analytic platform for NFTs. And that one on the mint made, I think, 872 ETH. So technically I have made 100 ETH overall, but not all in one go, and certainly not as a trader or investor yet.
No, absolutely. I should have mentioned this in the beginning. It's okay. Whatever method you used related to the NFT space, even if it's scamming. No, I'm joking. Without saying, like, whatever method you use counts, because essentially we're all in this Web3 space together. And this also goes to show people that the only way isn't just trading. You can make a solution, create a solution for a problem, such as the tool you're working on, or the platform such as NFT HUD. So it's nice because we're always focused on finding the next best 100x project, while there's a whole other series of things where you can make that first 100 ETH if this is the goal you are trying to go for.
So I made a lot of my ETH off trading and all that type of stuff, but I made my first 100 ETH after I dropped my project Dark Echelon. It kind of solidified that 100 ETH mark. I made, a good amount of ETH from the mint, and then also from the secondaries, made a bunch of money there, as you could say. But yeah, mainly just launching my project Dark Echelon, and that went very successful. As today it's about I think 50 or 60x above the mint price, so it's doing pretty well, man.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. I hear about Dark Echelon a lot. Everyone speaks very highly of it, and clearly the floor price speaks on its own. So a lot of people think that the only way to make 100 ETH is by flipping their way up, but clearly there are other ways, such as going the route of building and creating something on your own, which is awesome.
So I was doing pretty well towards the end of 2021, or really the beginning of 2022. I think Azuki was the project that I hit hardest on out of anything. One of the groups that I'm in had been following it since pretty much the Discord and Twitter dropped. I think we'd seen the track record of the artist. A lot of people were debating whether to go in it was a 1 ETH Dutch auction.
Yep.
A lot of people thought it was maybe going to drop to like 0.5, 0.6 or whatever. I think getting the confidence to make a little bit of an uncomfortable play and max mint that was something that, I don't know, I ended up holding that obviously, which as of late was a bit of a bummer. I didn't really sell everything towards the top, but I was able to turn around 7 ETH into about 115 through the Azuki play. So that was the play that really carried me into the next territory.
That is amazing.
A friend decided to introduce me to this platform that was more like a crypto marketing platform, and whereby users get in together and they crowdfund and they make much more Ethereum. And we do not know if the company was actually really trading or not. So the 2017 to 2018 led me into that company, and it was more like a compounding system. So I was just compounding the Ethereum I was acquiring, and I was just curious about having so much Ethereum. So the system, it turned out that my compounding was up to 200 Ethereum at the time in that particular system. And I was like, okay, it's time to start pulling out my Ethereum. When I started pulling out my Ethereum, I was able to successfully pull out 50, and then, we saw an error 404, and the owners, they turned out to be scammers, and they ran away with all the money.
Oh no.
So I was left with just 50 Ethereum, but at least I was able to pull out 50 Ethereum, and that was the first bulk amount I got. So I was like, okay, what next? How do I grow this amount of money now? One of them was Cyberkongs.
Okay.
Cyberkongs.
Nice.
So the genesis of Cyberkongs, all those who were able to get in at the means of the genesis of Cyberkongs had a 13,000x. 13,000x.
Were you able to get in?
As of the time I was able to get in, it was insane. So
Nice.
It was crazy amount of money that was made. It gave me over 30 Ethereum.
Okay.
Actually, and I used less than 1 ether. I used less than 0.5 ether to get that.
Wow.
I guess it's a combination of things. A lot of people know me for my biggest flip, which is the Genesis Hape. I bought it for 0.4. I sold it for 36.69.
Oh, I never knew about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was my best. I've been trying to reproduce that snipe ever since. Hate Beast in general, I made post fees or pre fees. I made 50 ETH, right? Because I sold both of them pre-reveal. There's been a lot of good whitelist flips. I bought some Azukis when they were down to 4 ETH, and then they pumped. Of course, the Azuki fiasco that happened didn't help, but I still made great money there. And my next move to make, it's going to make a lot of ETH, hopefully, is definitely going to be advising different projects.
One piece of advice you would give someone who is interested in making this 100 ETH or just wants to get into the NFT space or is progressing and wants to progress further in the space?
One thing I would say is that to get to that level, you do have to have some kind of initial capital to work with to kind of make those big gains. You're not going to go and make 100 ETH off of an $1,000 investment overnight. It's not going to happen. You can make some really good plays, and if you happen to buy into something like a Bored Ape or a Moonbirds or whatever, like something that really went big, and believed in early on, like of course you could make a lot. But I would say the easier, and I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not, but the more likely way to make 100 ETH, in my opinion, especially from my experience, like I just said, is to create a project that fills an actual need or a use case in the space, and has value, has utility, and ideally isn't a rug or isn't a scam.
Some very important points I guess you can start off with is making sure that you're connected with the right people, making sure you're always being friends with everyone and anyone. Never push anyone to the side because they don't have enough followers or whatever. Everyone has something to bring to the table, and then you should always have something to bring to the table too, in terms of having some type of skills or having some type of knowledge, and then also making sure that you're staying updated with the current NFT culture, right? If you're not updated with the culture, then you don't know what's going on, then you don't know how you can bring value or how you can extract value and make money.
Joining an alpha group, joining these groups and communities that share information, seek some information, get all the data back, analyze it and go, hey, this is good. So the idea that you're watching a video right here, right now, means that all the other people that are talking in this video, they're all going to say some things. Some of them will resonate. You can go out and execute on that. And this is exactly what an alpha group or a closed group's like. It's just a bunch of people that actually aren't trying to sell you something. So you're not the exit liquidity. You're the person that can actually benefit from it, and you don't need to fear about someone just trying to take your money. So that's what I think can speed up anyone's process, by surrounding yourself with those people. And usually the best way is with a pass, in a sense.
The most important thing for me has definitely been networking, just meeting people, especially in this space. It's crazy how nice people are in this space. I mean, you have to be careful. There's a lot of scammers. But when you meet good people, they are so excited to share information, to share opportunities, and just to share their network with you and introduce you to new people. So of course you do have to think of what can you offer. So before like approaching, I don't know, Shan or NFT Llama or some of these bigger people, really try to build yourself up in the space so you're able to offer them something in return. Or it doesn't have to even be them. Like try to meet mods, try to get a position as a mod, and along the way keep touch with everybody you've met. Like go back, ask them if there's any opportunity, if there's anything you can help them with, or just ask them how their day is, and then they're going to remember you. And in the future, that your network is really going to help you, especially in this space.
Now you might be wondering how I made my first 100 ETH, and truth is, I haven't. But after listening to these awesome people's experiences, I think right now I'm ready more than ever.